Okay, so you've got your relationship with a mentor or a mentee, and then you're going to come to your actual meeting. Marvin, what are some tips and some techniques about actually getting the conversation to really go?
Well, one of the things I'd like to encourage people is that, and this is primarily we're talking mentor with mentee relationships. I think it's important you have a bit of a rhythm to those meetings. So not only do you know when you're going to meet, try as often as possible to meet the same time of the month, the same day, the same hour,
Mm.
but try to do the same thing in the meetings. So here's a simple, this will all be in, we'll have these on worksheets for people so they can see what I'm saying. But try to make the meeting approximately an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. I have a problem many times now, they go to an hour and a half, but try to keep it to that.
Mm.
And what you do, it's basically three parts. The first part is you kind of catch up on life. You see, this is a relational gathering. So you want to know. And that's why it's important to take some notes after you finish a meeting so you can pick up the thread the next meeting.
Yes.
And, so he tells you about his mother-in-law dying of cancer. Well, if you don't start the next meeting off by asking, how's your mother-in-law doing? He thinks you don't care.
Yeah, that's right.
So you want to start with things that are important in their life, or maybe they're going through a job change, or maybe one of their kids is ill or whatever. Start talking about what's going on in their life right now, the whole thing. Now, how's your job going? How's your marriage going? Stuff like that. Just you're touching base. And then after about 10, 15 minutes of that, then you start talking about what they did about the assignment they had at the end of the last meeting.
Mhm.
So every meeting, there's an assignment or two that's related to what they want to do in their life. So was it reading a book? Well, then let's discuss the chapter we were going to read in the book. Did they have to do an interview with an older person? Well, how did that interview go? And I mean, if that's the assignment, we think about the questions ahead of time.
Yeah.
And so they don't go into those meetings without the questions already decided. And
Well,
so what did they learn out of that?
and what they also realize is that you're going to ask them, so they make sure they do it before the next meeting. Otherwise, the accountability is just lost.
Absolutely. One other thing that I've done, some it helps, is we have a little tool called the Leader's Covenant. It's 10 aspirational statements of what it is to be a Christian leader. And that's a really good tool if you're, not sure what you're going to talk about. Say, well, let's take one of those statements every time we meet for the next year. And what you do is ask the person to read the statement and then come prepared to say one or two things God said to me about that statement. The statement has a paragraph and some scripture verses. I'll show you that tool at the end. But anyway, you do that. That's the main part of the meeting. And then you come to the third part, which is winding up and agreeing on what might be the assignment between now and the next time. And always make sure that the person who's the mentee drives the assignments. Now, often they often don't know what to suggest. So you have to make suggestions, but keep them at a suggestion level so that they can pick what they think would be most helpful. Now, as the relationship gets better, you can move in with a little more encouragement and so on. But Dan, I've been mentoring some people. I got a guy right now, it's over 20 years. We still do this every time we meet.
Is that 20 years of it? Wow.
Yeah. And he's going from a young kid out of college to just finishing a 6-year term as the chairman of the elders in our church.
Wonderful. Wow. And that is a rich relationship you've had for all those years.
Yeah.
That is very good. Very good stuff.
I walked with him through marriage counseling, premarital counseling, adoption of 3 hard to adopt kids, buying a business with his brother. I mean, but the point is every year you redecide what it is you want to do for the next year. So if the first year is working on their life, then the second year you think again, what are we going to do this year? And then start helping them learn how to mentor someone else. You get the idea?
Yeah.
So both a mentoring and a coaching relationship. And the topics to talk about are generally very wide ranging, but let me just list off a few real quickly that you want to make sure, and these will be in the notes. Here are 5 areas of personal growth you explore with every developing leader: their finances, their faith, their family, their friends, and their fitness.
Those are
This
5.
is not original with me, but that's a really great thing.
Yeah.
And then here's some other areas you want to talk about. What is their personality or their natural temperament? What's their preferred learning style? You got to know, do they like written or do they like verbal or anyway? And then what's their love language? These are kinds of things you learn to be exploring because you got to get to know this person really well.
Yeah.
And so this is all part of this journey that you're on with them. And I've got questions listed, but here's the one thing I would say: try never to ask a question that starts with why.
Yeah.
Always start questions with
Defensive. Yep.
how or what, because if you say why, they get defensive. So how or what? How is that going to help you move forward? What was your thinking at that point? Instead of saying, why'd you do that? Well, I mean, that's not going to go anywhere.
That's right.
So
You want this to be an open relationship of trust and back and forth. So those are very practical ideas, and we got more in the worksheets for you. So just take a look at those there. Thanks.
Mhm.